What's up guys? Welcome to my channel. My name's Skylar, and in this video, since it's my first video, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick little about me, and then we'll move into the 33 week update, so stay tuned. Okay, so as promised, a little bit about me. I'm 26 years old and I'm a stay-at-home mom of two. My oldest, which is my daughter Mila, she will be 5 in July, and then my son Maverick actually just turned 3. And then I'm sure from the title of this video, you guys seen that I'm expecting baby number 3. So he will be here hopefully a little bit before the due date, but our due date is July 4th. So yeah, I'll be a stay-at-home mom of 3 at that point. My daughter Mila will be starting kindergarten this year, so it's like our first kid going off to school, but not really because we are considering homeschooling. So I don't know, maybe in the future I'll do some videos about that. As far as my channel goes, I think I'm gonna just be covering a lot of like motherhood lifestyle videos. Obviously I'll be doing pregnancy updates until baby's here. I'm really aiming to do a labor and delivery video when the time comes. And then, I don't know, I have so many videos in mind. I definitely want to do like a what's in my hospital bag because this is my 3rd time going through this. So I think I can definitely give you guys some tips on that. Well, at least what works for me. But yeah, I guess for now, just go ahead and move into the 33 week update. Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right in. So I am, as of today, I am 33 weeks and 3 days pregnant. But I'm gonna go ahead and backtrack a little bit to right around 32 weeks, maybe even a little bit before 32 weeks, and just kind of catch you guys up on where I'm at right now. So a few days before my 32 week checkup, I started feeling a little bit crampy. Like it literally just felt like I was going to get my period. Like I would wake up and like my lower abdominal area would just be very achy. My lower back would be achy. And it wasn't like a consistent pain. It would like come and go, like as if they were actual cramps. So, that went on for a few days, and then I remember on Mother's Day, actually, this was like a very significant day of when I realized like, okay, these aren't going away. Mother's Day, we decided to take the boat out, and where we launched the boat is like 40-ish minutes from our house. So that entire car ride there, I remember like my fiance talking to me, and I kind of was just tuning him out, and I was like closing my eyes and like breathing through these cramps. Yeah, and so I wasn't feeling very good, and they were definitely very uncomfortable. I didn't really want to say anything though because I didn't want to freak anybody out, and not that I recommend that though. Like if you're having these pains, or if you're, whatever it is, if you're not feeling well, call your doctor or go to the hospital. But in my case, I didn't do that. I decided just to go out on the boat, and, you know, I knew we weren't going to be out there all day. So, anyways, yeah. So about 40 minutes or so, I definitely was feeling these cramping feelings coming and going. And then they kind of like fizzled out throughout the day. So I just decided not to do anything about it. And I knew my 32 week my 32 week checkup was coming up. So I was just trying to like hang on to that and like wait until I seen my doctor. I was trying to avoid the hospital if I could. So the days leading up to my 32 week appointment, I was definitely still having these cramps and those achy pains down there. It was not fun. And then I went to my 32 week checkup, and I explained to my doctor when I got there what I was feeling and how they were like coming and going in waves, which if you read anything about contractions, that's what they say. It's like, you know, they go up and then they come down. So that's kind of like what I was experiencing. And I was telling my doctor about this. I was telling her how I was having like pain in my lower back, and actually when I was sitting in the office I was getting them, so she could like see, you know, that I was not doing so great. But they they did a urine sample. They, just to make sure everything was fine there. And then basically I kind of left that appointment feeling a little bit defeated because she didn't really do a whole lot about the feelings that I was having, or she didn't make me feel any better about it. Let's just say that. Yeah, when I was in there, she just kind of was like, well, go home and time your cramps. So if they're coming every like 4 to 5 minutes, go ahead and go to the hospital. And that just kind of made me like, I don't know. It didn't make me feel very good because I'm like, well, this is my third pregnancy. It's my third baby, and if they knew anything about my medical history, I dilate very quickly. I did with both of my other kids. So I'm like, if this is labor, I would think that they would want to stop it before it starts, kind of thing. So that kind of bothered me, especially because anyways, I'll just leave it at that. But I left that appointment not feeling so great about her advice. But, I guess she just didn't feel like it was super urgent. So I went home, like she said, and continued to time my cramping. And I would say for actually a few days, they were about 10-ish to 15-ish minutes apart. Sometimes they were 7 minutes apart, sometimes they were 6 minutes apart, sometimes they were 11 minutes apart. So they were kind of all over the place. But like they were still definitely coming and going, and this was a feeling that wasn't necessarily going away. So days before my 33-week checkup, so like right in between 32 and 33 weeks, I woke up one morning and I was in a little bit more pain, actually a lot more pain than I was in previous days. So I woke up and I was just, same thing, I was having those cramping, low abdominal pains. But this time, like when I tell you it was like radiating into my back, like my lower back hurt so bad. My fiance was at work, so I called him and I was just like, look, they seem to be way more painful this morning. And I actually was timing them for about an hour before I called him, and they were like consistently 4 to 5 minutes apart. So I got freaked out, and I'm like, if this is labor, if these are real contractions, like this baby's coming soon. So I got all in my head and totally freaked out, which in the end, it made me do the right thing and go to the hospital. So anyways, he actually called his mom and she came and got me, took me to the hospital, and they hooked me up to the monitor. Well, actually, when we were in the waiting room and the nurse called me back to take me to triage, she was, she did her usual, like, what's going on? And I just broke down in tears and started crying because as I was like walking back there, the pain in my back was so strong, I just couldn't even hold my composure. Like I just lost it. And so she's like, okay, you don't have to even tell me right now. Like just catch your breath. We'll get you a bed. And she was so sweet. So they laid me down, hooked me up to the monitors, and turns out I was having contractions, and they were pretty good ones. Like I was watching them on the screen, and like, I mean, obviously I'm sure if I was actually in labor, or further along, I should say, they would be a lot worse. But like I was definitely, it was just nice to be like validated. Okay, like I actually am having contractions, like these pains that I'm feeling are real. It just made me feel a lot better, especially after leaving my 32-week appointment and like my doctor not like making me feel very good. Like almost just like she didn't believe, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, so they hooked me up to the monitor, confirmed that I was having contractions. They did an ultrasound, and the baby was head down, but my cervix was closed. They did an exam as well. So I wasn't dilated at all, and I wasn't thinned out. So that was all great news. I didn't have a UTI, and I was hydrated. So it wasn't like I was having contractions from being dehydrated. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but like sometimes if if you don't drink enough water and you're not hydrated, that can actually cause your body to have contractions. So, but that wasn't the case. So they ruled that out, and ultimately, they really couldn't tell me why I was having these contractions. The doctor on call there, obviously came in and talked to me, and she said, well, you are having contractions. She goes, basically they're just pre-labor contractions, and we can't really determine what's causing them. And they ruled a bunch of stuff out that, would have been alarming. So that was a good thing. And they basically just told me to take it easy and keep doing what I'm doing as far as like staying hydrated. And, they were like, well, what the heck were you doing the day before that would have caused you to have these contractions now? Like, I guess they thought that maybe I was overdoing it, and that could be a reason why I was having contractions, which ultimately they were probably right, because I'm nesting like crazy. But I also do have, 2 kids at home. So, and my 3-year-old, he's still my baby, and I do lift him, and I'm not supposed to, but, okay. Let me take that back. I haven't been lifting him since the hospital, but prior to that I was. So anyways, I definitely was overdoing it. Fun fact. When I went back into triage and they did my IVs, they had to try my IV 3 times before they finally got it. And I'm talking like 3 different spots. And here, I don't know if you guys can see this, but like, look how bruised. Here, the lighting is terrible. My arm is so bruised. And that's just one of the spots. You can actually see like closer to my wrist where the butterfly is. That's the other bruise. I don't know why they tried to do that in my arm there, but I don't know, I guess they just want it in a place where it's not going to get messed up or something. But the nurse, like when she poked me the first time, and then she was like, big pinch, and I'm like, okay. And she did it, and it literally took my breath away. And then it was taking her a while, and I was like, is everything okay? And she goes, no, I'm not getting it. And I'm like, oh man. And then she went to try the next spot, and she's like, oh yeah, you must be dehydrated because your veins are just not good right now. And this was before they confirmed that I wasn't dehydrated, so I couldn't really like argue that. But my mother-in-law was in the room with me, and when she stuck me the second time where that big bruise was, and she wasn't getting it, I was like, oh, did you get it? Because it was hurting so bad, and I don't do well with needles. And I was like, oh, did you get it? And she goes, no. And my mother-in-law was like, I was so happy she was there, because she was ready to like just tell her to get lost. Even though, I mean, maybe it wasn't her fault. Maybe my veins just weren't good that day. But my whole life I've been told that I have great veins. So it's just very odd that it took her so many tries. But finally she ended up getting it in the opposite arm, but on my hand. And that actually hurt way less than in my arm. So I don't know, future reference, if you guys are going into the hospital, you can totally request like where you want the IV, and I would recommend doing it here and not on your arm, because that is so painful. But ultimately she did give me a break after the second try. She like left the room, and I think she was even flustered because it was traumatic. Like they were putting smelly things under my nose, and just like I had a cold rack on my head. People were fanning me like I was about to go down. It was a little traumatizing, but made it through. And I guess ultimately I didn't even need the freaking IV because I was hydrated. I didn't need the fluids, but fluids can't hurt, so that's fine. So they ended up discharging me from the hospital and just sent me, with my paperwork that said basically take it easy and follow up with my doctor. When I went in, it was on a weekend, so that was a Saturday. And then she told me to follow up with my doctor on Monday. So originally my 33-week appointment wasn't until the following week, and she told me to call them Monday morning and see if they could get me in like ASAP just to follow up from the hospital visit. So I did that. Monday morning I called my doctor and, you know, just told them what happened, and they said, okay, well, we can get you in tomorrow. So it was Tuesday when I went in to talk to my doctor and be seen to follow up. And when I went in, they took my blood pressure. That was normal. Baby's heart rate was great. And she looked at my paperwork, and I guess baby was around 4 pounds, and he was head down. She confirmed that by looking at the paperwork as well, from the ultrasound they did at the hospital. But she didn't check me or anything. Like, I kind of assumed, since like when I was discharged from the hospital, I was still having contractions, but instead of, like, when I first got to the hospital, they were around 4 to 5 minutes apart for about another hour or so while I was there. When they discharged me, I was still having contractions, but they were like 15 minutes apart. So they were spacing out. So they were comfortable letting me go as long as I followed up. So I assumed when I followed up with my doctor, they would probably want to check me at that appointment, considering I was still having contractions, and they didn't. Which obviously I'm still pregnant, so that's fine because I'm not, my cervix must still be closed. I don't know. It's just that like uneasy feeling of like, why am I having like these cramps, and knowing that they are contractions, like, it's scary. You don't know if like your body's just gonna go into labor. I don't know. But yeah, I followed up with my doctor, and they just said to keep an eye on it and that I did the right thing. And if it were to start acting up again to where it was that close, you know, if it was like 4 to 5 minutes apart, to go back to the hospital. So that hasn't happened, thankfully. But I will say I've just been having a ton of Braxton Hicks now. Instead of the cramping feeling, I'm just like the Braxton Hicks. But if you guys know anything about Braxton Hicks, they're not really painful. They're just uncomfortable. It's just like your stomach gets really, really, really tight and hard, and you can feel it. And then when it releases, it's just like you can breathe again. Okay, guys, I did kind of have to cut that short. We are going to dinner, and we're kind of on a time schedule tonight. So I will basically end this video with everything is fine. I'm still pregnant, not dilated. Not really having any more contractions other than the Braxton Hicks. A couple more symptoms I will say are like indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux. I definitely feel that at nighttime, like when I go to lay down. Obviously you can tell I'm out of breath. I can't breathe ever. But let me think. So Braxton Hicks, heartburn, pelvic pain. Yeah. Pelvic pain definitely, like, so when I sit up, like when I sit up from out of bed, or even just from like sitting down, that is when I experience the pelvic pain the most. Obviously when I'm walking, it's uncomfortable, but I can definitely feel the pelvic pain like as I'm like getting up, if that makes sense. So yeah, pelvic pain is definitely another symptom that's not been fun. But other than the pelvic pain, the heartburn, and the Braxton Hicks, all is good here. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I think that's really it. And honestly, I'm starving, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope as it goes on, I get better at doing these videos. I'll get better at my timing. I plan on doing like 1 to 2 videos every week. Definitely new videos every week, at least 1. I'd like to put out 2. I'd like to get on a schedule to where you guys just know Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, are when my videos would be posted. But we'll see about that. That's the goal anyway. So yeah, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.